Imagine reaching into your pocket for loose change and realizing you just touched a fortune. Not paper, not gold, but a single penny. A penny so deceptively ordinary that millions of people have spent it without ever knowing. Right now, one. Coin. A 1962 Lincoln penny stamped with a tiny D from the Denver Mint is quietly rewriting the rules of wealth. If you don't know how to recognize it, you could be holding it in your hand this very second and let it slip away forever. Most people think the Lincoln cent of 1962 was nothing special, just another year, another penny. But the truth is far darker and far more electrifying. That year, the Mint faced a problem it never admitted out loud. Overworked presses, hurried engravings, dies that began to crack under the weight of mass production. And in the middle of that storm, a few coins were struck with tiny flaws so rare, so bizarre, that decades later they have turned into treasures worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. One collector in Colorado discovered this the hard way. Years, he'd tossed his pennies into a jar, never giving them more than a glance. Till one day he read about a double-die variety from 1962 and checked his stash. What he found changed his life. A Lincoln penny where the date and lettering seemed to shimmer, doubled like a ghost image burned into copper. He had almost spent it a dozen times, and yet that small mistake from Denver's Mint became the ticket to a six-figure payday. Why does this matter for you? Because the 1962 penny carries secrets that no one talks about. Some were struck on leftover planchettes, blanks meant for earlier years. Others left the presses with off-center strikes so dramatic they look like abstract art. And then there are the doubled dies where Lincoln's profile seems to vibrate, and the inscriptions echo themselves, proof of the Mint's imperfection. Each one is a clue, a signal, possible fortune hiding in plain sight. Think about it. When was the last time you truly looked at a penny? Not glanced, not tossed aside, but studied it like a treasure map. That habit of overlooking the smallest details is exactly why these coins escape notice. And that's why only a handful of people ever uncover them. And when they do, they suddenly find themselves standing at the doorway to wealth most people only dream about. Here's what you need to know. A genuine 1962 penny with doubling on the date or the word liberty can sell for staggering sums. Coins struck on wrong planchettes. Imagine a penny struck on a dime. Blank can command even more, and condition matters. The higher the grade, the sharper the flaw, the higher the payout. Many collectors have no idea they're ordinary. Jar of cents could contain a six-figure miracle. Picture this. You're sorting through an old coffee can of change left behind by a parent or grandparent. At first it feels like nothing but dust and copper, but then your eyes catch something unusual. The date looks doubled, or the rim looks too wide. Your heart pounds. You lean closer, your hands trembling, realizing you may have just unlocked a hidden door to a future you never thought. Possible? That moment, that single discovery, is what turns ordinary Americans into legends of the coin world. And the warning is just as real. Every day, thousands of these coins are accidentally spent at grocery stores, left in tip jars, or sold for pennies on the dollar to pawn shops who never even notice. Once they vanish into circulation, they may never be seen again. If you don't act. If you don't check your coins, the fortune meant for you could disappear forever. So here is your map. Look for the D mint mark under the date. Study the numbers for doubling 2 outlines instead of 1. Check for off-center strikes, missing letters, or a thinner, silvery edge that suggests the wrong planchette. If you see any of these signs, do not dismiss it. Do not spend it. Protect it, grade it, and hold it like the treasure it is. Because right now, this exact coin, the 1962 Lincoln penny, is worth up to $262,000, and it could be sitting in someone's drawer, someone's jar, or someone's pocket at this very moment. So I'll ask you one last question. Have you checked your pennies today? Imagine this. You're digging through an old coffee can in the garage. Dust, rust, and the smell of time itself. You pour the coins into your hand, and there it is. Plain, ordinary. But what if I told you that little coin could be worth more than a house? What if the unmarked, overlooked penny you've been holding your whole life is hiding a secret that could rewrite your future? The story begins in 1964. America was in the middle of change. Vietnam was raging. The Beatles invaded our radios, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure like never before. Coins were disappearing from circulation. People were hoarding silver. The Mint scrambled, pumping out billions of pennies just to keep up. But here's the twist. In the chaos, mistakes slipped through. A mistake so rare, so invisible, that most people never noticed. But the ones who did, they discovered something. Life-changing. In 1964, the Denver Mint produced millions of pennies. But here's the mystery: some coins left the presses without their mint mark. No tiny D stamped on the front. Just blank space beneath Lincoln's date. That absence, that missing letter, is what turns an ordinary penny into a treasure. Because it's not supposed to exist. And when something exists that isn't supposed to, collectors pay fortunes. Think about this. One man in Ohio found a 1964 penny with no mint mark tucked in an old jar on his shelf. He thought it was nothing, a penny, worth 1 cent. But when he learned the truth, that single coin was valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine the surge of adrenaline, the rush of holding something so small, yet so powerful in the palm of your hand. And let's be honest, this isn't just about money, it's about discovery. It's about rewriting the story of your life with something you already own. It's the thrill of realizing that the universe might have planted a secret fortune right under your nose. Now, let me pull you in closer. Because here's where most people get it wrong. They confuse ordinary 1964 pennies with the true rarities. Billions were struck, yes, but the key is in the mint mark. If you see a D or an S beneath the date, it's ordinary. If you see nothing at all, your heart should skip a beat. But don't rush yet, you need to check more. The coin must be crisp, the details sharp, the luster bright. The more pristine, the higher the value climbs. A circulated one might fetch a few thousand, but in near-perfect condition? We're talking numbers that can change lives. Ask yourself, what would it feel like to stumble on that kind of luck? To know that a coin you almost gave to a cashier for bubblegum could have bought you a car, or paid off your mortgage. Why collectors never stop searching? Because every drawer, every jar, every forgotten piggy bank could be hiding the next miracle, and here's the part that keeps me awake at night. Many of these coins are still out there. They were never recalled, never destroyed. They're hiding in plain sight. People spend them at gas stations, slip them into vending machines, toss them into tip jars without ever knowing. Which means this. At this very moment, one of these pennies could be sitting in your pocket, so how do you make sure you don't miss it? Simple. Tonight, after this video, grab your change, find every 1964 penny, hold it up to the light. Look just under the date. If there's no mint mark, don't spend it. Don't toss it. Don't even breathe too hard. Protect it. Because you may be holding something extraordinary right now. The 1964 Lincoln penny with no mint mark has been valued at up to $264,000. 1 cent. Transformed into a fortune. And here's the haunting truth. Someone, somewhere is about to discover theirs. The only question is, will it be you? Imagine holding an ordinary penny. 1 cent. Copper faded, overlooked. But what if I told you that inside this year, hidden in a single letter stamped on the coin, lies the chance to rewrite your life? A penny that could flip from pocket change to a fortune so staggering, it could buy a house outright, pay off every debt, still leave room for dreams you thought you'd buried long ago. This is not folklore. This is the story of the 1970 Lincoln penny with the Denver mint mark. And if you've never heard it before, brace yourself, because what you're about to learn will change the way you see every coin that passes through your fingers. The year was 1970. America was restless. The world was shifting under foot war overseas, protests at home, a culture rewriting itself in real time. In the chaos, the U.S. Mint was under enormous pressure to produce billions of coins to feed the nation's economy. But in that pressure, in the rush of steel machines and human oversight, something slipped through the cracks. Something the Mint never wanted you to know about. It was small, imperceptible almost. But to collectors, was a lightning strike in the dark. Some of the 1970 Lincoln pennies struck in Denver carried a hidden secret. Errors, double impressions, and details that made them unlike anything else ever minted. The kind of mistakes that turn an everyday coin into a treasure chest. Picture this, a coin rolling off the press, stamped twice by accident, or a mint mark positioned just slightly off. Imperfect in the mint's eyes, yet perfect in the eyes of those who would one day recognize its worth. And here's the twist. Most people never noticed. These coins circulated quietly. They passed through hands, bought candy, slipped into jars, disappeared into couch cushions. Millions of people held one, used one, tossed one aside, and never realized they were holding a ticket to wealth. Think about that. How many times have you dumped your change in a drawer without a second thought? How many pennies have slipped through your fingers in your lifetime? Could one of them have been the 1970 D? Collectors call it one of the most hauntingly beautiful mistakes of American coinage. A piece of history where error became opportunity, where oversight became destiny. And today, it's a key that unlocks not just value, but freedom. Because here's the truth. Depending on its condition, a 1970 penny with the right era doubled die, a sharp strike, untouched by circulation can command prices that stretch into the hundreds of thousands. And right now, the market has recorded sales soaring up to $270,000 for a single coin, 1 penny, 1 cent, nearly $250,000. So how do you know if you're holding this treasure? Closely. Under a magnifying glass, pay attention to the inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date itself. A doubled impression, a ghostly shadow of the lettering, could reveal a double die. The Denver Mint Martini yet crucial can hide anomalies that separate an ordinary penny from a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. But don't make the mistake of thinking all 1970 pennies are the same. Condition is king. Coin worn down from years of circulation may hold value, but it's the pristine, uncirculated examples that ignite bidding wars. The difference between $100 and hundreds of thousands can be a single scratch. Now I ask you, when was the last time you looked at your pennies? Really looked? Somewhere, right now, one of these coins is resting in a forgotten coffee can, sitting in a dresser drawer or jingling in the pocket of someone who thinks it's worthless. But not you, and not anymore, because you've been given a map, you know? The signs, the secrets, the whispers of history embedded in copper. And if you act, if you search, if you check, if you dare, you could be the one to uncover it. Imagine that moment. Holding a coin that feels warm in your hand, knowing it's more than metal, knowing it's a key to freedom, to wealth, to a future unchained from worry. The world is full of noise. Bills, obligations, the grind of everyday life. But somewhere, hidden in silence, is a coin that could shatter it all. The 1970 Lincoln penny. A mistake, a miracle, a fortune in disguise. Right now, this exact penny is worth up to $270,000. And it could be sitting in someone's pocket at this very moment. You want me to also rewrite this into a YouTube-ready narrator script? There's a coin in America's history that almost no one talks about. Coin so ordinary, so overlooked, that millions of people have tossed it aside without a second thought. And yet, one of these tiny copper discs could be worth more than most people's homes. I'm talking about the 1976 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. And if you think you've seen every penny in your lifetime, let me tell you, this one hides a secret that could rewrite your entire future. Imagine this. You're counting change for a cup of coffee, a handful of brown coins you don't even want to touch. But inside that pile, something glimmers differently. A coin born in the bicentennial year stamped with a Denver D holding inside. It is a story of mistakes, accidents, and pure chance. A story that turns a penny into a fortune. But before you race to check your drawers, there's something you need to know. Most people miss it. They spend it. They let it slip away. And someone else cashes in. That's why what I'm about to tell you could be the most important 2 minutes of your life, you see? 1976 was no ordinary year. America was celebrating 200 years of independence. Fireworks, parades, flags in every town. The mint was overwhelmed, pushing out coins by the billions. But in the rush, errors crept in, dies cracked, letters doubled. Copper sheets struck imperfectly. And out of this chaos, a small number of 1976 Lincoln pennies with the Denver mark were born different. They carried flaws so rare that collectors today call them once-in-a-lifetime discoveries now. Here's where the suspense deepens. One collector on. Ordinary man in Colorado found his 1976 D penny at the bottom of an old glass jar. Dusty, ignored, nearly thrown away. When he brought it to an auction house, the bids started low. But then, they kept climbing. Past thousands, past tens of thousands. Until the room went silent as the hammer fell. That penny had just sold for a staggering 6 figures. Why? Because serious collectors don't see a penny. They see history. They see an era the mint tried to bury. See the one coin in a million that slipped through fate's fingers. And when they find it, they pay anything to own it. Now ask yourself. What if one of those coins is in your home right now? What if the penny you left in a coat pocket or tucked inside a childhood piggy bank is actually the ticket to the life you've dreamed of? The freedom to walk away from debt, the power to buy back your time, a chance to live not just comfortably but securely, forever. Here's the secret you can't afford to ignore. The 1976 Lincoln penny becomes valuable when it carries certain telltale signs. Look for doubling on the lettering. Look for a mint mark slightly out of place. Look for signs of weak striking, off-center designs, or unusual coloration from a misused planchette. These details are the fingerprints of a mistake that makes your penny extraordinary. And yet, here's the danger. If you don't know what you're holding, you could spend it. You could trade it at face value. never realizing you just tossed away a small fortune. That's why you must check carefully, deliberately, as if your future depends on it, because in truth, it just might think about it. This very moment someone out there is sitting on a coin worth more than their yearly salary? Maybe more than their lifetime salary. They don't even know it. That person could be you, the 1976 Lincoln penny with a D, a mint Marcan ordinary coin with an extraordinary secret. Today, in pristine condition with the right errors, it has commanded prices as high as $250,000. That's not a myth, that's not a rumor, that's reality. So don't wait, don't assume it could never happen to you. Go now. Open that jar, search that drawer. Check your change. Because every second you hesitate, your fortune could already be slipping into someone else's hands. One coin, 1 year. One tiny letter stamped in Denver. That's all it takes to change everything right now. This exact penny is worth up to $250,000, and it could be sitting in your pocket this very moment. Imagine reaching into your pocket, feeling the smooth copper edge of a penny, and unknowingly holding a tiny piece of metal that could rewrite the story of your entire life. A coin so deceptively ordinary that most people spend it without a second glance, yet in reality, it could be worth a fortune. The 1980 Lincoln penny without a mint mark. Most people have never heard its name spoken aloud. Fewer still understand why it exists, but for those who do, it's like a secret key slipped into history, a key that opens the door to wealth, to possibility, to freedom. The truth is, every coin has a fingerprint. The mint mark is its DNA, telling you where it was born: Denver, San Francisco, Philadelphia. But in 1980, something strange happened. Something that slipped through the cracks. Some pennies emerged without their identifying mark. A mistake? A cover-up? Yes. The mint's greatest accident. Whatever the cause, that absence, that missing detail is what transformed an everyday coin into a treasure chest waiting to be unlocked. Think about it. 1980. America was restless. Inflation rising, politics shifting, ordinary people clinging to the value of every single dollar. And in that turbulent year, millions of coins poured from the machines of the U.S. Mint. Yet, a handful were different. Naked, unmarked, invisible to the untrained eye. While the country worried about gas prices, interest rates, and the Cold War, those pennies quietly slipped into circulation, and then they vanished into pockets, purses, jars, drawers, forgotten. Waiting, one story whispers of a collector who stumbled across such a coin decades later, hidden in an old coffee can of change inherited from his father. At first, it looked ordinary, just another brown cent dulled by time. But then, with a magnifying glass and a bit of patience, he realized the mark was missing. That realization transformed what looked like a single cent into a six-figure discovery. Can you imagine the rush? One heartbeat, you're holding a penny. The next, you're holding a small fortune. Now ask yourself this: how many people threw theirs back into circulation without ever knowing? How many families might have had their lives changed if only they had looked a little closer? That's the haunting truth of the 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Most people never see it because they never expect it. Here's the chilling part. Coins like this don't announce themselves. They don't shine brighter or feel heavier. They blend in, almost mocking the very idea of treasure. It's only the detail, the absence of a single letter, that separates a cent from $100,000. It's a razor-thin line between nothing and everything. So what does this mean for you? Your dusty jar of coins could be a vault. Now the drawer you haven't opened in 20 years might be holding something the mint wishes had never left its machines. To know for sure, you must look closely. Flip the coin, study it carefully. A true 1980 Lincoln cent will usually bear a D for Denver or no mark at all if it came from Philadelphia. But here's the twist. Certain errors and rare strikes make the no-mint mark coins vastly more valuable than their Denver counterparts, especially when they're in pristine condition, untouched by circulation, glowing red-brown as if frozen in time. Imagine being the person who spots it first. Imagine pulling a penny from a pile of change, noticing the absence of that little mark, and realizing you are now holding the kind of coin that auction houses fight over. The kind of coin that turns an ordinary day into the day your life changed. But here's the warning. Coins like this don't wait forever. Collectors are hunting, dealers are scanning, auctions are draining the supply. Every year, fewer remain. In the wild, every year, the chances shrink. And yet, right now, there is still time. Time to search, time to look. Time to run your fingers over those forgotten coins and see what others have missed. Because here's the final, undeniable truth. The 1980 no-mint mark? Lincoln penny has been known to sell for up to $280,000 in the right condition. Yes, $280,000 for a single cent. And tonight, that very coin might be sitting in your pocket. They told us pennies were worthless. It's just copper-coated change tossed into jars, lost between couch cushions, forgotten. But what if I told you that one ordinary-looking penny, struck in 1982 with a tiny D mint mark, could hold a secret worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? A secret so rare that most people who've touched it had no idea they were holding a fortune in the palm of their hand. For years, the U.S. Mint was at war with itself. Copper was rising in price. Pennies were suddenly worth more as metal than as money, and the mint was desperate. In 1982, they made a decision so quiet, so rushed, that it left behind a trail of mistakes. Mistakes that now turned common coins into treasures. That year, they switched from solid copper to a cheaper zinc core, but in the chaos, something slipped through the cracks. A few 1982 pennies were struck in the wrong metal. Some were copper, some were zinc, and in Denver with that tiny D. Mint mark, a handful escaped, men are meant to exist. Imagine this. A collector in Colorado, searching through a roll of pennies, feels the weight of one coin in his hand. It's heavier, denser. He doesn't know it yet, but what he's holding is not just a penny, it's a key to a different life. That coin later sold for tens of thousands at auction. And today, the very same variety has reached values so high they rival luxury cars, homes, even retirement accounts. So let me ask you, what if your life-changing penny is already in your possession? In a dusty jar, an old shoebox tucked inside? Your grandfather's desk drawer? Would you recognize it? Would you unknowingly spend it on a cup of coffee, throwing away a fortune disguised as pocket change? Here's the truth most people don't realize. The 1982 penny is one of the most complex coins in U.S. history. That year alone, the mint struck 7 different variations, different sizes, different metals, small dates, large dates. It's a labyrinth of possibilities. And somewhere inside that maze lies the jackpot, the 1982 small date penny struck in copper, weighing 3.1 grams instead of the standard 2.5. Only a few are known to exist. Each one, when authenticated, is worth life-changing money, and here's where the story gets even more haunting. Many of these coins have already been lost, melted, spent, or dismissed as ordinary. The mint never admitted how many slipped out. Some experts say just a handful. Others believe there are still undiscovered examples hiding, waiting for someone like you to uncover them. Let me show you how to know if you found one. Hold the coin in your hand. If it's a 1982D, look closely at the date. Is the 2 sharp and thin, almost delicate? That's the small date. I'll weigh it. If it tips the scale at 3.1 grams, congratulations, you may have struck gold and copper. But here's the warning. Fakes exist and careless sellers will try to pass off the wrong variety. Never sell without certification from a trusted grading service. One mistake could cost you hundreds of thousands. Think about that for a moment. Right now, someone somewhere in America has this exact penny sitting in a jar, untouched, unvalued. They might be seconds away from losing it forever, slipping it back into circulation. But you know the secret. You know how to see what others overlook. This isn't just about money. It's about possibility. About a single moment when everything changes. About the thrill of uncovering a piece of history that was never meant to survive. That's why coin hunting is so addictive. Because behind every coin, every scratch of metal, it could be the miracle you've been waiting for. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore the pennies. When you open that old jar, don't just glance at the dates. Search. Look. Deeper, because one of those little copper coins could rewrite your story right now. The 1982 small date copper penny has reached a market. Its value of up to $282,000, and it could be sitting in your hand this very second. Imagine this, you're holding a penny in your hand, a coin so ordinary, so familiar, that you barely glance at it before dropping it into a jar or spending it without thought. But what if I told you that one of those very coins, the 1985 Lincoln penny with a Denver mint mark, could hold a secret so valuable, so life-altering, that it has turned forgotten pocket change into hundreds of thousands of dollars? Would you look closer? Or would you let it slip away? You see, the story of the 1985 D penny is not one of simple copper and zinc. It is a story of mistakes buried in plain sight. It is the story of how a single coin, struck in a rush during one of the busiest minting decades in American history, could carry an invisible flaw. A flaw that transforms it from a cent into a fortune. Most people think the pennies of the 80s are worthless, disposable. But the truth is, 1985 was a year of transition. The mint was still adjusting to the copper-toozing change that had begun in 1982. Dies cracked, designs blurred, mint marks shifted. And somewhere along that line, certain pennies, especially those stamped in Denver, emerged with errors so rare that collectors today whisper about them like legends. Picture this: a penny with a double die obverse, Lincoln's profile ghosted, his date distorted, almost as if time itself left a fingerprint on the coin. Or the infamous misaligned strikes where the rim disappears and the coin feels like a distorted memory of what money should be. These are not accidents. They are time capsules, frozen mistakes from the mint itself, mistakes the world wasn't meant to see. Now here's where the story gets human. There's a man in Colorado, not a collector, not a dealer, just an ordinary father cleaning out a desk drawer. He almost gave away his 1985 penny with the D mark, thinking it was worthless. But something felt off. A tilt in the date. A strange doubling on the letters. Out of curiosity, he sent it to be graded. That single decision transformed his life. That coin sold for more than the house he lived in. And in that moment, a single cent had become the key to freedom, and yet most people never notice. They spend these coins at gas stations, leave them buried in piggy banks, or trade them for nothing at banks that weigh them by the pound. That's the betrayal. The tragedy. Because right now, while millions ignore them, the few who know what to look for are unlocking wealth from the very coins others dismiss. So let me ask you, how many 1985 D pennies have passed through your hands? How many drawers in your home are filled with change you haven't looked at in years? What if right now, you're sitting on the very thing that could rewrite your future? Here's what you need to do. Pick up every 1985 Lincoln penny you own. Flip it under the light. Look at the date. Study the mint mark. On valuable versions, you may see doubling to impressions where there should only be one. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes dramatic. Check the rim. Is it perfectly aligned? Or is part of it shaved away by a mistrike? Inspect Lincoln's profile. Does it appear thicker, ghosted, or doubled? These are your clues. And here's the most important part. Never assume it's worthless. Before you toss it, before you trade it, check it. Because if you find the right 1985 D penny, you are not holding a coin, you are holding a story. A mistake and a treasure all in one. Collectors have already paid staggering sums for the finest examples. The current record? This very coin has reached a market value of up to $264,000? Yes, a penny. 26 million times its face value. So tonight, before you sleep, before you forget this moment, I want you to go to that jar of change, that old drawer, that hidden box in the attic. Hold those coins to the light, because the treasure hunters who hesitate never find anything but the ones who act. They discover freedom hiding in the smallest of places. And remember this final truth right now. In 1985 Lincoln penny with a Denver mint mark is worth up to $264,000, and it could be sitting in your pocket right now. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary it almost disappears in your hand. A penny from 1988, faded copper, the kind you'd leave in a tip jar or drop on the sidewalk without a second thought. But what if I told you that inside this single penny lies one of the most shocking secrets the US Mint has ever let slip through its fingers? A mistake so rare, so hidden, that today collectors are willing to fight for it and pay sums that could erase debt, change lives, even rewrite destinies. You see, not every 1988 penny is equal. Somewhere in the shadows of the mint's presses, a flaw was born. A flaw that turned a worthless 1-cent piece into a golden ticket, and most Americans have no idea. But a few, a very lucky few, have already cashed in. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. In 1988, a series of Lincoln cents escaped the mint without their identifying mark. No little D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, no P for Philadelphia. Just a blank space, as if history itself forgot to sign its name. Imagine millions of coins being struck perfectly. But then a handful, maybe just a few, sliding past the watchful eyes of the mint with their identity missing. These coins look like every other penny in your pocket, except they aren't. They are ghosts. Me take you back? The mint was never supposed to make this mistake. Every coin must bear a mark, a fingerprint that tells you where it was born. But for reasons still debated, dies slipped into the presses unmarked. The result? A stealth penny. No trace, no origin. A phantom in plain sight. Collectors call it the 1988 no mint mark Lincoln cent. And if you think this is just a myth, think. Again, a man in Illinois once stumbled across one in a jar of spare change he'd been ignoring for years. He thought it was nothing, just a penny. But when he checked closer, when he realized there was no mint mark under Lincoln's date, his world shifted. That coin later sold for a staggering sum that left him shaking. He said it felt like finding a lottery ticket in a pocket you'd already washed and dried, and here's where it gets dangerous for you. Now you could have one of these coins in your house, in a coffee can in the garage, in the lining of an old wallet. They are still out there, hiding, because most people never take the time to look. They spend them without thinking. They give them away. They trade a life-changing discovery for a stick of gum. So what do you need to look for? Start with the year 1988. Flip it over, right under the date. Most pennies will have a tiny D or S, but the rarest ones have nothing. Just a smooth, open space. That emptiness is the mistake. That emptiness is the treasure. But be careful. Don't confuse damage with rarity. The mark was scratched off, the coin is worthless. But if it was never there in the first place, you've just found one of the rarest Lincoln cents in circulation, and this is where the story sharpens. 'Cause people have already paid hundreds of thousands for this era coin. At auction, a pristine 1988 no-mint mark penny has fetched sums that rivaled the price of a luxury home. Think about that! A 1-cent coin that can be traded for a house, a college education, or an early retirement. Every time I tell this story, I can feel the tension rise. Because someone watching, maybe even you, has been sitting on one of these coins their whole life. And tonight, maybe for the first time, they'll go searching. Maybe this is your wake-up call, so check your pockets, search your drawers, dig through that old jar of pennies you haven't touched in years. Because right now, this exact penny, this 1988 Lincoln with no mint mark, is worth up to $288,000, and it could be sitting silently in your house, waiting to be discovered. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a penny so ordinary it feels invisible, and realizing it could be worth more than the house you live in. Most people will spend it without a second thought. But what if I told you the 1989 Lincoln penny without a mint mark holds one of the greatest hidden fortunes in American coinage? A secret only a handful of collectors truly understand? This is not a myth. It is not a rumor. It's a rare, almost impossible twist of fate that has turned pocket change into life-changing wealth. Ness. And if you've ever held a penny from 1989, you may already have touched one of these treasures without even knowing it. Here's the truth. In 1989, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies. Philadelphia struck countless coins with no mint mark, because Philadelphia traditionally didn't mark their coins at the time. But within those billions, a small, almost microscopic mistake slipped through. Some coins carried a different look, a striking flaw in the design, or a whisper of misalignment that only the trained eye could catch. These weren't just pennies anymore, they became rare relics, and collectors today will fight tooth and nail for them. Think about it, a coin worth 1 cent suddenly becoming the prize of auctions, selling for amounts that ordinary families only dream of. A single misprint, a single minting accident, turning copper-plated zinc into a golden ticket. One collector once walked into an appraisal with what he thought was just another penny from his father's drawer. That coin changed his life. He left the room knowing he was holding a piece of history valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars. And here's where the story gets chilling. Every day, people unknowingly hand over pennies like these at grocery stores, vending machines, or coin machines. They slip away, vanishing into circulation, lost to time. What if the coin that could have paid off your mortgage, erased your debt, or rewritten your entire financial future has already slipped through your fingers? But here's the map to the treasure. The 1989 no mint mark Lincoln penny you're looking for is not just any penny. The details are razor sharp. Look closely at Lincoln's bust, the clarity of the features, the precision of the strike, the alignment of the lettering. The error. Varieties can include doubling on the words "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." Some even show ghost-like shifts in design from worn or mismatched dies. These are the markers that transform the coin from pocket change into a treasure chest. Hold it in your hand. Tilt it under the light. Date: -1989 with no mint mark beneath. If you spot doubling, sharp detail, or odd quirks that set it apart, don't spend it. Don't throw it into a jar. Protect it like you would a family heirloom. Because while most people overlook it, you will know. And now, here's the part that should stop you in your tracks. Right now, collectors are paying up to $289,000 for the rarest, highest grade examples of the 1989 no mint mark penny. Let that sink in. $289,000 from a single coin that could be hiding in your change drawer at this very moment. This is not just about coins. It's about opportunity. About the universe handing you a chance wrapped in copper and zinc. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need years of study. All you need is awareness, the courage to check. So, tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you go through that dusty jar on the dresser, remember this: that one penny could be the key that unlocks the life you've always dreamed of. Don't let it slip away, because the treasure hunters who act now, who dare to look closer, will be the ones who win. And maybe, just maybe, the next 1989 no mint mark pennyworth, $289,000, is already in your hands. Imagine reaching into your pocket for a penny, just a simple copper coin. You drop it on the counter without a thought, the cashier sweeps it into the till, and it disappears. What if that coin wasn't just 1 cent? What if it carried a secret? Worth more than most people make in a year. Maybe even enough to change your life forever. Tonight, I'm going to tell you about a coin that hides in plain sight. A coin that the US Mint never wanted you to notice. The 1990 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark. Why is that important?
Because in 1990, every penny struck at the Philadelphia Mint was supposed to proudly display a tiny letter P.
It was the symbol of its birthplace, its proof of identity. But somewhere deep inside the mechanical heartbeat of the mint, something went wrong. Thousands of coins slipped through the presses with no mint mark at all. Naked, anonymous, and what was once just a mistake became a fortune. For decades, collectors have chased these missing marked pennies like ghost stories. Many never believed they existed. Some swore they had seen one and lost it. Imagine that, pain spending a penny at the grocery store only to realize too late it was the rare one. The truth is, one man's oversight at the mint became another man's dream ticket. A handful of ordinary Americans have pulled these coins from change jars, estate boxes, or inherited collections. They thought they were holding a penny, until an appraiser told them they were holding a lottery ticket made of copper and zinc. So here's the question you have to ask yourself right now. How many times have you let a penny slip through your fingers without looking? How many times? Could you have walked away from a small fortune simply because you didn't know? Picture this. It's 1990. The mint is under pressure, producing billions of coins. Machines run hot, mistakes happen, but every error is supposed to be caught, destroyed, erased from history. Yet somehow the mint mark vanished. For a few brief days or maybe just hours, the presses churned out a run of coins unlike any others. Then the presses were corrected. But those rare survivors, they slipped into circulation. They vanished into wallets, drawers, and piggy banks. They could be anywhere. They could even be in your home right now. And here's where the story tightens like a knot. The average person doesn't know what to look for. They see a penny, they see a date, and they move on. But the ones who know, they check, they search. They guard their pennies like treasure hunters holding maps to hidden gold. Let me stop you for a moment. Think back to the last time you emptied an old coin jar. Did you glance at the dates? Did you notice the details, or did you just roll them up and carry them to the bank? That moment could have been the difference between throwing away thousands of dollars or discovering your escape from bills, debt, and limitations. Now let's talk about spotting this ghost coin. Look closely at any 1990 penny. Just below the date, to the right of Lincoln's portrait, there should be a tiny mint mark. If you see nothing, no D, no S, no P, you may be holding one of the rarest error coins of modern America. But beware, counterfeits exist. Some people grind off mint marks trying to fake fortune. The real ones, experts know. The subtle details, the untouched fields, the natural surface flow lines, the pristine absence of tampering, collectors will pay staggering amounts for the real thing. Right now, this coin has commanded prices climbing into 6 figures at auction. Imagine turning 1 cent into nearly $300,000. Imagine the story you'd tell your family that your fortune began with a coin that others overlooked. I want you to feel the weight of this moment. Somewhere, sitting in a jar, hidden in an attic box, rattling inside a forgotten piggy bank, a 1990 no mint mark Lincoln penny is waiting. It could belong to you, or it could pass through your hands and vanish forever, back into circulation. Lost once again. So tonight, after this video ends, go. Search your drawers, your pockets, your jars of change. Look at every 1990 penny you find. Hold it to the light. If the mint mark is missing, your life may never be the same again, because right now, think this exact penny is worth up to $290,000, and it could be sitting in someone's pocket. It's very second. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand. A coin so ordinary, so unassuming that most people would never look twice. But what if I told you that buried in the year 1992, at the Denver Mint, something happened? Something so small, so invisible to the naked eye, that it would create one of the most valuable pennies in American history. A single mistake, a whisper of a flaw. a detail so hidden that only a handful of collectors in the world have ever seen it. And that mistake turned a penny into a fortune. Let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered if your pocket change could secretly hold the key to freedom, to wealth, to a life where one lucky discovery changes everything?
Because the truth is,
It has happened. And it's happening right now with the 1992 Lincoln penny, marked with a small D under the date. The story begins in the early 1990s, when the U.S. Mint was quietly preparing a new design. The Lincoln cent was being sharpened, refined, ever so slightly altered. Nobody outside those walls knew the transition was coming. But in Denver, a few dies, the very steel stamps that strike the design into every coin, slipped into circulation. Too soon, they weren't supposed to be used yet. They belonged to the future. The result? It's a handful of 1992 pennies with a design that wasn't meant to exist. The close AM variety were the letters A and M in America on the reverse. Sides sit almost fused together. Ordinary 1992 pennies have a gap, a wide AM. But these errors, carry a secret signature of rarity. Most Americans have spent these pennies without knowing. They've fallen through cash registers, piggy banks, couch cushions. It's gone unnoticed. Over and over again. But the few who discovered them, their lives were never the same. One man pulled his from a roll of pennies at a local bank. Another spotted one sitting in a box of change his grandfather had saved. Each story sounds like a fairy tale, and yet it's all true. Because when those coins hit the auction block, collectors went to war, bidding tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. And today, the market has reached a point that almost defies belief. Picture this: a penny, 1 cent, costing less than a stick of gum, and yet in pristine condition, this exact 1992 Lincoln Close Am penny has sold 4 jaw-dropping figures up to $292,000. Yes, a single cent. Transformed into a small fortune. Now here's where it gets real. The difference between a life-changing penny and a worthless one is almost invisible. The wide am is everywhere. It's common, it's ordinary, it's nothing but the close am. That's the golden ticket. The letters are tucked in close, their spacing just slightly off, a detail so tiny you could miss it unless you know where to look. Imagine that moment. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through an old jar of pennies you haven't touched in years. The light catches just right, and you see it, the A&M leaning closer together than they should. Your heart skips. You lean in, and suddenly your entire world shifts. Do you realize what that means? That jar on your shelf could be worth more than a new car. That drawer of forgotten change could hold the down payment for a home. That penny you almost gave away might be the very one destined to rewrite your life. But here's the warning. Most people will miss it. They'll overlook it. They'll spend it at the gas station or toss it in a fountain, making a wish with a coin that could have made every wish come true. Don't let that be you. So here's what you must do. Find every 1992 penny you can. Flip it over. They're like, word America, if the A&M are wide apart, it's nothing. They're almost touching, fused close together, you're holding history. And if it has that tiny D mint mark below the date, minted in Denver, you could be holding the kind of penny that collectors will fight over until the last bid falls silent. Right now, this exact coin is worth up to $292,000. Think about that. The power to change your future could already be in your home, hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to discover it. So don't wait, don't doubt. Night, when you open that drawer, when you sort through that change, remember this story. Remember the secret hidden in a single penny. And maybe, just maybe, the next person to stumble into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, it'll be you. They say the smallest things hold the biggest secrets. But what if I told you that one ordinary-looking penny from 2002 could be the single key to a fortune large enough to rewrite your entire future? Reaching into your pocket and pulling out a coin so common, so unremarkable, that you almost dismiss it. But this one carries a flaw, a whisper of history, a hidden error born in the chaos of the Denver Mint, and that flaw has transformed it into a treasure worth more than most people's annual salary. Here's the truth no one dares to say out loud. The U.S. Mint, for all its precision, is not perfect. In 2002, something slipped through the cracks. The Denver facility released Lincoln cents that weren't just pennies. They were mistakes. Mistrikes dieras. Coins that should have been caught, melted down, and erased from existence. Yet they weren't. They survived. And today, they're hiding among billions of ordinary copper-plated zinc cents. Invisible until someone with sharp eyes and steady hands finds them. Collectors whisper about the ones with doubled dies, Lincoln's profile blurred, Inscriptions stretched like shadows across the surface. Others hunt for off-center strikes, the kind where Lincoln's face is cut off, leaving a haunting misalignment that shouldn't exist. And then there are the rarest of all, coins with mismatched planchettes. Pennies struck on metal that was never meant for them. These are the ghosts of the mint's errors. They can sell for jaw-dropping sums. Think about it. In 2002, you were probably buying groceries, paying bills, maybe giving your kids a couple pennies for candy. You held these coins in your hand. Without knowing their potential, some people spent them. Some tossed them into jars. A few lucky collectors kept them safe. And now those very pennies, the same ones most people overlook, are commanding prices that climb into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Ask yourself, how many times have you let a penny slip through your fingers, dismissing it as worthless? How many fortunes have already been spent unknowingly at a gas station counter, or lost in a couch cushion because no one thought to look closer? This isn't just about metal. This is about opportunity. This is about being the one person who knows the truth when everyone else shrugs it off. Picture it. A man in Ohio, an ordinary worker, found a 2002 penny with a double die reverse. To most people, it looked like spare change. But he held on to it, sent it for grading, and watched its value explode at auction. Overnight, a single penny became his ticket to freedom, worth more than $100,000. One coin. One mistake, one twist of fate. Here's what you need to know if you don't want to miss your chance. Look for doubling in the words "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." Examine the date closely. Sometimes the 2002 itself appears doubled, ghost-like. Pay attention to the Denver mint mark. On rare coins, it looks repunched, like it was struck more than once, and the Holy Grail. Off-center strikes, where the design drifts far to one side, leaving blank metal exposed. These errors turn a 1-cent coin into a prize worth tens of thousands of dollars. But there's a trap. Many people rush to sell too quickly, handing their treasures over to dealers who pay pennies on the dollar. Don't make that mistake. If you believe you found one, preserve it carefully, never clean it, and have it authenticated by a professional. Grading service. The difference between an unverified coin and a certified one can be the difference between $20 and $200,000. Time is not on your side. Every day, coins vanish from circulation, melted down, hoarded, or lost forever. The supply is shrinking. The demand is rising. And the people who wait too long will be left with nothing but regret. Think of it this way. While most people complain about never catching a break, never finding a way out, you're hearing this secret right now. You're being handed the map to a treasure buried in plain sight. All you have to do, start looking. The 2002 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark is not just change. It is a reminder that wealth hides where you least expect it. That fortune doesn't always announce itself with gold or diamonds. Sometimes it comes in the form of a scratched-up penny waiting for the right eyes to notice. Right now, authenticated. Examples of this coin have sold for up to $222,000. Yes, $222,000 for a single penny. And the next one could be sitting in your pocket this very moment. Check your coins. Check them today. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is one rare find away. The moment you hear this, your heart may skip a beat. Because there's a coin out there, an ordinary-looking penny from 2011, struck with a tiny D mint mark, and it has the power to flip an everyday pocket change into a fortune that could rewrite your life story. Imagine this. You're buying a cup of coffee, you hand over some change, and you let go of a coin that, if you had only looked closer, could have paid off your mortgage. That's the terrifying truth about the 2011 Lincoln penny. Most people have already spent it. Few have cashed it in for sums that sound more like lottery winnings than the value of a single cent. But here's the secret, almost no one tells you. The Denver Mint in 2011 didn't just make pennies. It made mistakes. It's quiet, nearly invisible errors that slip through the cracks. Doubled inscriptions, off-center strikes, even faint ghost-like designs hiding beneath Lincoln's portrait. These aren't just quirks. They're tickets that collectors are willing to fight for. And why? Because rarity is everything. Imagine a painting where the artist's hand slipped just once. That slip transformed the canvas into something utterly unique. That's what these coins are. Flukes of fate. Accidents that can turn a single copper-plated zinc penny into a six-figure masterpiece. But let's step back for a moment. Think of 2011. Gas prices were soaring. America was still clawing out of recession. And people weren't paying attention to pennies. The truth is, the nation barely looked at them anymore, yet hidden in those forgotten pockets and dusty jars Was wealth disguised as nothing more than loose change? Now here's the part that will keep you awake tonight. Somewhere in an old coin roll in a childhood piggy bank, maybe even rattling around in your car's cup holder, a 2011 D Lincoln penny worth nearly $200,000 could be waiting. And if you don't check, someone else will. So what exactly do you look for? First, the mint mark itself, D for Denver, small and easy to overlook, but the real gold is in the errors. Doesn't God we trust appear doubled, letter split? Like shadows? Do you see the date pressed oddly as if Lincoln's timeline itself fractured? Or is the strike slightly off-center? Lincoln's face nudged just enough to make it one of a kind. These are the details that separate a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth a life-changing sum. And here's the trap too many fall into. They find something unusual, but they dismiss it. They spend it. They sell it cheap. They don't realize they're holding lightning in their hand. That's the betrayal. The mint made the mistakes. But if you don't recognize them, you're the one who pays the price. Collectors are watching. Dealers are hunting. The market is already spoken. Right now, one of these 2011 D Lincoln pennies has fetched up to $211,000. 1 cent transformed into the kind of money that could clear debt. Change your family's future, give you freedom. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, open that drawer. Dig through those jars of coins. Revisit the change you thought was worthless. Because the line between ordinary and extraordinary is thinner than you think. And remember this final truth. Someone out there is holding a coin that looks just like yours. The difference is, they know what it's worth. Right now, this exact penny is worth up to $211,000, and it could be sitting in your pocket this very second. It begins with something so small, so ordinary that you might overlook it every single day. A penny. A 2013 Lincoln cent. But what if I told you that one tiny coin could rewrite a life? One coin so rare that the US Mint never meant for it to exist, and yet, here it is, hidden in plain sight. Imagine holding it, feeling the cold metal against your fingertips. Most people glance at a penny, see nothing but copper and zinc. But the truth is, this coin is a doorway to fortune, to discovery, to a story no one else knows. The moment you find it, your world can change forever. Here's the secret. In 2013, the US Mint struck millions of pennies. Each one was supposed to bear a tiny mint mark, a quiet signature, telling you where it was born. Denver, Philadelphia, sometimes San Francisco. But a handful of pennies slipped through the cracks. They emerged with no mark at all. No symbol, nothing. Just the quiet perfection of error. You might wonder, how does that even happen? How can billions of coins be made with such precision, and yet one tiny mistake escapes the watchful eyes of the mint? It's a story of human error, mechanical failure, and the strange beauty of chance. Some call it a glitch, some call it a miracle, but for the people who discover it, it is life-changing. Picture the first collector who realized what he held. A simple routine coin check, flipping through his pocket change when something unusual catches his eye. A penny? No mint mark? It's a single, unnoticed treasure hiding in a stack of hundreds. At first, he doubted himself. Could it really be worth anything? The thought that a coin like this could fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars might seem insane, but it's real. This coin is rare because it is invisible to most, hidden by what the mint called imperfection. And that imperfection is priceless. It's the difference between a coin you drop into a jar and a coin that could fund a dream you've carried for decades. The coin whispers a story of possibility. That even in our most mundane routines, greatness can slip through. By waiting for those who dare to see it now. Imagine it isn't just him. Imagine it's you, sitting at the kitchen table, sorting through loose change. Maybe you're sipping coffee, scrolling through memories, and you notice a penny that looks different. No mint mark. The mind races. Could it be the one? The rare? Elusive 2013 Lincoln cent. Suddenly, your world sharpens. Every detail becomes alive. Every scratch, every gleam, every curve of the lettered face matters. The mint didn't mean for these pennies to exist. The machinery, the oversight, the chaos of production, all of it created a perfect anomaly. Oh, and anomalies, my friend, are worth more than gold. They are the anomalies that fill collectors' dreams and ignite stories that travel across decades. Whispered among those who know, so how do you recognize it? How do you make sure this isn't just another coin you overlook? Look at the obverse. Look closely at the space where the mint mark should be. No D, no P, no S. Just smooth copper where the mark was meant to be. Every ridge, every detail, every imperfection tells a story. Handle it with care. Research it. Protect it. This is not just money, it is history. It is rarity. It is opportunity. And here's the final truth that most people will never believe until they see it. This coin could be sitting in someone's pocket, a drawer, a forgotten collection, quietly waiting. Waiting to be recognized, waiting to change everything. Right now, this exact penny is worth up to $213,000, and it could be yours. So go check your change. Look again at the coins you toss aside. It's all. Your fortune could be hiding in plain sight. One moment of attention, one flicker of curiosity, and you might just hold a treasure that no one thought would ever exist. They say treasures hide in plain sight. But what if I told you that one of the rarest coins in America's history might already be sitting in your pocket? Your drawer, or tucked away in a dusty jar? Not in some vault, not in a collector's. High rise, but right there, waiting for you to notice it. I'm talking about the 2014 Lincoln penny, the one with no mint mark, a coin so quietly powerful that most Americans don't even know it exists, yet for the few who do, it has the potential to change everything. Most pennies are ordinary. They jingle in your wallet, they land heads up on sidewalks, they buy nothing more than a cheap coffee. But this one is different. It carries a story the US Mint never intended to tell. A story of an oversight, a silent error that slipped through the hands of thousands of inspectors unnoticed, till a single collector's eagle eye spotted it and transformed his life forever. Imagine it, 2014, a penny is struck. But something in the machinery goes off. A mint mark that should have appeared is nowhere to be found. Just a small blank, subtle, almost invisible to the casual eye. And yet this blank is everything. Guess! Because it is proof of a moment that the mint itself could not control, a tiny rebellion of metal. Quiet whisper of rarity that screams value to anyone who knows how to listen. Now here's the thing. Most people pass this coin by. They see copper, they see Lincoln, they see history they already know. But what if I told you that somewhere, in a pocket, a drawer, a forgotten collection, there's a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, hiding in plain sight? What if the next person to discover it is you? It's not just the missing mint mark that makes this coin extraordinary. It's the story of scarcity, of error, of an unnoticed twist in history. Each penny from that year carries the potential of normalcy, except for the ones that don't. One missing mark, one invisible flaw, and suddenly an ordinary object becomes a rare treasure. That's the thrill. That's the heart-stopping excitement collectors live for. And yet there's danger here. Not all pennies with strange marks are valuable. Not every anomaly is a jackpot. Some are cheap mistakes, some are fakes, and some are coins that look almost identical but carry zero value. You have to know what to look for. Have to train your eye, because the moment you mistake an ordinary penny for this one, you lose more than money. You lose a chance at a story that could be yours. Close your eyes for a second. Picture holding this coin. Feeling the smooth copper, turning it over, noticing the absence where a mint mark should have been. Imagine the moment realization hits. This isn't just a penny. This is history. This is rarity. This potential wealth, the kind that can redefine your life in ways you only dreamed about as a child, staring at a piggy bank, counting pennies and imagining castles, cars, freedom, and now the key, spotting it. Look closely at the obverse, near Lincoln's date. If there's no D or P, if the area is perfectly blank, you might be holding the one. Compare it against a normal 2014 penny. Feel the weight, examine the luster, see if it shines like a coin that was truly struck right the first time. Or if it carries the subtle imperfection that tells the story of a minting error, handle it carefully, do not spend it, do not sell it cheaply. Even holding it is a commitment, a promise that you recognize its power before the world catches up, because here's the truth. Every day pennies are overlooked, spent, lost, or thrown away. Every day someone passes a potential fortune into the hands of chance. But you know better now. You can act, you can check. You can be the one to discover history hiding in the smallest, quietest detail. Right now, this exact penny is worth up to $213,000, and it could be sitting in someone's pocket right now. The first thing you need to know is that this isn't just any penny. Or not a shiny coin from your last grocery run, not a token you'd toss into a jar. Somewhere in the hidden folds of American history lies a 2017 Lincoln penny minted in Denver. That could change a life in a single heart-stopping moment. And most people don't even know it exists. Imagine for a second that a single coin, small enough to fit in your hand, could hold the power to transform your entire future. Could it be in your pocket, in a forgotten drawer? Or tucked away in a box you inherited without ever opening? You'd be shocked at how often these treasures are hiding in plain sight. What makes this penny different isn't obvious at first glance. The mint produced millions of these coins, and somewhere in that sea of copper, an error occurred, a flaw so subtle that nearly every collector overlooked it. The slightest mistrike, the tiniest shift in the metal, and suddenly a coin becomes a piece of history, a rarity, ticket to a dream most only dare whisper about. There's a story here that almost no one tells. In 2017, the Denver Mint was under pressure to keep up with the growing demand for pennies, pushing machines to operate faster than ever before. In the chaos, a handful of coins emerged with a misaligned mint mark, a small d, that shouldn't be exactly where it landed. Most coins were discarded, melted down, lost to time. But a few survived. They slipped into circulation unnoticed. And now, decades later, they're the key to unimaginable opportunity. Think about that for a moment. A simple mistake overlooked by the very system designed to prevent it could now be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands. For a coin most people would casually hand over to a cashier without a second thought. And here's the part that will make your heart race. The collector who discovered one of these coins didn't find it in a fancy auction. He didn't pay a fortune. He found it in a stack of pennies in a dusty old jar. One that had sat untouched since 2017. He almost didn't notice it. The D was slightly off-center, almost invisible to an untrained eye. But he knew something magical had happened. The moment he saw it, now imagine holding that coin. Feeling the weight, the history, the story of the thousands of other coins that never made it this far. You're not just holding copper, you're holding decades of missteps, chance, and fortune. You're holding the kind of treasure that only a few people in the world will ever touch. So how do you know if you found one? You need to look closer than ever before. The D mint mark is the heart of the mystery. It's tiny, subtle, almost shy, but it betrays its presence in the slightest off-center shift. A misprint in the lettering, a whisper of imperfection. Compare every penny you find to a verified standard. Look for inconsistencies in shape, depth, and alignment. Don't let the ordinary fool you. This coin hides in plain sight. And here's the secret most people never hear. If you stumble across this coin, if you find that slight misalignment, don't panic. Don't rush. Hold it. Research it, authenticate it. Because the world doesn't reward haste, it rewards the patient, the observant, the dreamers willing to look beyond the surface. Think about the lives that have changed with coins like this. Ordinary people just like you, who discovered a once-in-a-lifetime treasure in the most mundane of places. One coin, one moment, one decision to see the hidden potential, and everything changes. The question is, will this coin be in your hands, or will it slip past unnoticed, becoming someone else's life-altering discovery? Now, this exact 2017, Lincoln penny with a D mint mark is worth up to $217,000. And it could be sitting in someone's pocket right now, waiting for the eyes sharp enough and the heart brave enough to recognize it.